So we're doing exercise 5B and we're looking at question 1E in this video. Question 1 reads, sketch a graph of each of the following relations and state its domain and range. So we come here and in E we've been given x minus y equals 4 and my domain has been restricted between -1 and 2. The very first thing I'm going to do is actually give this a slight rearrangement. So it's going to be y equals x minus 4. So what I did there is I plussed y to both sides and minus 4 to both sides, just so it's in this form, which is far more familiar to me. Now that I've done that, let's consider the fact that x is between -1 and 2, which means that my graph is going to be between x equals -1 and x equals 2. So now I need to figure out what my y value will be when x equals -1. So I'm going to say sub in x equals -1, which is going to be -1 minus, oops, sorry, I'm looking at over here. Let me use this one. It's going to be y equals -1 minus 4, which will be y equals -5. So my coordinate is going to be -1, -5. So now I would come over here, I can get rid of this, and put in the dot -1, -5, which is going to be here. Next, I'm going to figure out what my y value will be when x equals 2. So I'm going to say sub in x equals 2. So I'm going to get y equals 2 minus 4, which is going to be y equals -2. So when I put 2 in, I get -2 out. So now I come over here, I rub this out, I rub this out, and I'm going to put in the point 2, -2. 2, -2 is here. I then put a line between them, like that. Perfect. In the back of the book, they've actually labeled these points, so it probably isn't a bad idea to do that yourself. 2, -2, -1, -5. It also looks like my y-intercept is going to be -4, and we know that to be true here because if x were to be 0, y would be -4. Now, the very last thing that we need to do is actually answer the question, which is state my domain and range. So I'm going to get this, I'm going to shrink it down a bit, change the thickness of the pen. I'll leave that here. Actually, let me put it here. So now I need to figure out what my domain is going to be. And my domain is going to be what they've given me here, between -1 and 2. -1 to 2. And you can see that by looking at my graph. It lives between the x values x equals -1 and x equals 2. To find out range, that's all my possible y values. As you can see here, it's going to be from -5 to -2. -5 to -2. So hopefully that's been helpful in answering this question 1E from exercise 5B.